Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. I have the Tennessee Titans being one of the most improved teams for this upcoming season. And it's more than them just selecting Cam Ward with the first overall pick. Now, we all know what happened last year. They went 3-14 with their brand new head coach and Coach Brian Callahan. But you look at the starting quarterback position. Will Levis, they gave him the keys to the castle. His rookie season, he came in, he started majority of those games when Ryan Tannehill went down with an ankle injury, and they realized that Malik Willis was not going to be a starter long term. Will Levis had some good moments his rookie season. He had some bad moments as well. In year 2, they gave him the keys to the castle. He had a lot of terrible moments. It's 2 games in particular to where he cost the Tennessee Titans wins. The first game of the season against the Bears, Caleb Williams only had 95 passing yards in that matchup. Will Levis had 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions went for a pick 6, and the special teams did let them down in that matchup. But at the same time, Will Levis looked terrible. Against the New York Jets, they had an opportunity in the red zone numerous times. He goes down there, he fumbles the football. You could have walked away with a field goal, which is 3 points, or you could have walked away with potentially a touchdown. They walked away with nothing because of the interceptions and the fumbles with Will Levis. I think that Will Levis will still have a future in the NFL as a backup quarterback. Potential teams that could possibly go out there and trade for him would be the Steelers potentially within the next year, and the same with the Los Angeles Rams. Now, he's going to miss this entire upcoming season. He's dealing with a shoulder injury that he suffered last year. Now, you can say that the shoulder injury played a part into his turnovers, but at the same time, we've seen this happen before at Kentucky. I wish Will Levis nothing but the best. And it's important to bring this up. Coach Callahan did not select him. And the same with this brand new general manager. This happened with Rand Carthon at the time, and the same with Mike Vrabel, who's a former head coach with this organization. So Will Levis was never the guy for Coach Callahan. Now, with you bringing in Cam Ward, there's a lot of upside here. And it's crazy. The national media, they were more upset with Shedeur Sanders sliding in the NFL draft than they were trying to go out there and give Cam Ward his praise by trying to give him his flowers. We've seen them give Bryce Young his flowers in the past when the Carolina Panthers selected him. The same with Trevor Lawrence many years ago with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We've seen all these quarterbacks in the past get all this big time praise from the national media. Everyone's quiet about Cam Ward. Cam Ward was a definition of a game-changing quarterback at the college level. Went to Incarnate. Not too many quarterbacks go to a small school like that at the college level and transform them into winners overnight. And the only reason why he was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school, he ran a wing T offense at the high school level. He barely passed the football. He worked on his mechanics and he got better every single year at the college level. He transfers to the University of Miami. Phenomenal quarterback, 39 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He reminds me a lot of Jordan Love mixed with prime Deshaun Watson. He's known for being this traditional pocket passing quarterback, but he can make plays outside the pocket. Now, he's not an electric runner in open space. Don't expect for him to go out there and look like Lamar Jackson, look like Michael Vick, or even Josh Allen. But he can make some moves behind the line of scrimmage that'll make you open your eyes up and say, okay, there's something here. And he has a rocket arm. And the one thing that really stood out to me at the college level, he's amazing at throwing passes across the middle of the field over and over again. And a lot of that is because he got to work with Incarnate early on, and the same at the University of Miami. And he uplifted both of those programs. He made the players around him better. When you look at that Miami team, they wouldn't have had the success that they had without Cam Ward being on the field. They lived and they died by him every single week on that football field, every single Saturday, and he was phenomenal. He always answered the call. And I look at him coming over to the Tennessee Titans. There's a base here for him to have a successful rookie season. And I'm not saying that he's going to have a CJ type rookie season. He's going to go out there and look like Jaden Daniels in year 1. And if he doesn't, that's fine. Give him time to grow. Give him time to develop. And the same with Coach Callahan. Let these two gel together. That's the one thing with ownership. She hasn't been as patient within the last few years. You fired Mike Vrabel. Rand was only a general manager for 2 years. He did a solid job, in my opinion. You guys may disagree with that. You fired him. Now you bring in a brand new general manager who did not bring in Coach Callahan. There's a lot of reports that this general manager coming over from Kansas City, that he's hiring Coach Callahan. I hope that's the case. But when I look at Cam Ward, he has all the tools to be a superstar quarterback in the NFL. And this is a team that has not had a franchise quarterback in a very long time. No shade towards Ryan Tannehill. He was not the best offensive player on that team many years ago. You had A.J. Brown, and his prime at that time was still a great wide receiver. And he still is with the Philadelphia Eagles. Phenomenal on the outside. You have Derrick Henry, who was the main engine with this offense. And you had a decent offensive line up to 2 to 3 years ago. So they helped out Ryan Tannehill a lot. But you were limited with Ryan Tannehill. He was an elite game manager, in my opinion. You have this special quarterback in Cam Ward. It's the reason why Warren Moon is saying, hey, go take my number. Continue the legacy. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. But once again, when you look at the story of Cam Ward, he's been through it. And I think that he's going to be very successful with the Tennessee Titans. And I can easily see this team winning 7 to 9 games with this upcoming season with the pieces that they have around Cam Ward. But when I look at him, he has everything that it takes to be a star at this level. And when I talk about the pieces around him, you look at the running back room. Tony Pollard had a quiet season last year, but he was a very good and he was a very impactful player with Tennessee. Is he this bell cow running back? No, you want him to split carries with Tajay Spears, but he still had the 8th most carries in football for 1,079 rushing yards. And he had 5 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 4.2 yards a carry. Tajay Spears came in. He's a change of pace back, 312 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. There's something there. Split those carries with those two. Obviously, you want to give Tony Pollard majority of the carries. He was a free agent running back over a year ago, coming over from the Dallas Cowboys. But you have very good running backs in the backfield that can catch the football at the backfield and they can take some of that pressure off of Cam Ward. And he did the same thing with Will Levis. It was just a turnover issues. The one thing with Tennessee that has held them down within the last 2 to 3 years has been their offensive line. Even with Ryan Tannehill and the same with Will Levis and the same with Malik Willis. All those quarterbacks had little to no time inside the pocket. When Ryan Tannehill went down with that ankle injury, 3 of his offensive linemen on the right side, it was overseas in the UK. He goes down that ankle injury. Immediately, he only had 2 seconds inside the pocket before he went down. And they have rebuilt this offensive line quietly within the last few years with good base talent that they've gotten from the NFL draft and the same with what they've done in free agency. And when you look at Brian Callahan, he's the head coach. His dad is Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches the NFL has ever seen in history. Everywhere he has been, he has produced better offensive lines year in and year out. And this is where it starts with Tennessee. We could talk about the perimeter weapons all we want. And trust me, we'll get into the wide receivers here. We can talk about the running backs all we want. But it starts up front in the trenches. You look at some of the best teams in football right now. They have top offensive lines. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has all day inside the pocket. The Los Angeles Rams, they have a very good offensive line. It helps the quarterback really scan and process the information and get the football to where it needs to be. And if you can give Cam Ward a consistent pocket, you're going to be working with something here. Now, look at their offensive line. They're young, but they played very well in the back half of last season. Now, you did give Dan Moore Jr. a lot of money. It's an overpay, in my opinion. He was the best tackle that was available at the time in free agency, coming over from the Steelers. But he allowed 12 sacks last year. Now, it's important to bring this up. Russell Wilson holds onto the football for a very long time. The same with Justin Fields. They will rush themselves into sacks. We've seen this before with those players. Just a few years ago, they were tied with being the most sacked quarterbacks in football. A lot of that is because they process information a little bit late compared to other quarterbacks. You look at Cam Ward. He did a phenomenal job getting the football out quick. Can they get the most out of Dan Moore Jr.? He's never been a superstar in the NFL. I am worried about him as a left tackle. As a backup, that's fine. But paying him this much money to be a starting left tackle, I scratch my head at this decision. But once again, he's working with one of the best offensive line coaches in Bill Callahan. We'll see. He has the body. He has the athleticism to be good at the level, but it takes more than just that. Outside of Dan Moore Jr., Peter Skoronski, you selected him in the first round a few years ago. He's been a very good left guard. His rookie season, he was the best offensive lineman with Tennessee. Last year in free agency, you bring in Cushenberry from the Denver Broncos. He was a top center at that time. Over 900 snaps played with Denver, only allowed 1 sack. He's a very good run blocker as well. The problem is this. He had an up and down year with Tennessee. Right before he tore his Achilles, he was going back into form like how he looked with the Denver Broncos. Can he bounce back from this Achilles injury? That's still a tough injury from an offensive lineman to bounce back from. They need him to be healthy. Kevin Zeitler at the right guard position, a very good veteran right guard to have. He's the vet in the room. That's who you go to. Stability right there at the right guard position. He's 35 years old. Is he going to be here for the next 3 to 5 years? Probably not. But right now, speaking for the next year or two, that's a good right guard to have. And you look at the right tackle position, J.C. Latham. I think that he's going to be a superstar. I look at him and Peter Skoronski. Those are the two superstar players with them right now. Peter Skoronski is entering year 3. J.C. Latham is entering year 2. I think they will be superstars by the end of this upcoming season. That's how high I am on both of those players. And J.C. Latham is just a freak athlete. He moves around like a tight end at times, and he has the strength to be one of the strongest players on the field. Looked very good last season as a rookie, especially for the last 6 games. There's a lot of upside there with him. But let Bill Callahan go out there and fully work with this offensive line crew. It should open up more rushing lanes for Tony Pollard. The same with Tajay Spears and the same with Julius Chestnut, who is that bowling ball. He's that tough physical running back. He's never going to average over 5 yards a carry on a consistent basis in his career. That's fine. He's aggressive. It's a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. Give him the football. He could duck his head down in goal line situations. He'll get that for you. And I'm not saying that he has the same strength as a Saquon, as a Derrick Henry. But he's an underrated running back. Give him those tough carries when it's 3rd and short or when it's 4th and short and lean on him. And if this offensive line can get a huge push moving forward, you can run more quarterback sneaks. That's the one thing with Tennessee that they have failed at doing within the last 2 to 3 years is the quarterback sneak. It's hard for them to get those short yards over and over again because their offensive line has been abysmal. Now look at the wide receiving position. There's a lot of question marks here. Calvin Ridley, if you guys listen to this channel for quite some time, I believe that Calvin Ridley is a true number 1. No matter who his quarterback is, he goes out there, he gives you good production. I think that he's a very good wide receiver to have. I'm not saying that he's a top 10, top 15 wide receiver, but for the Tennessee Titans, he's a good wide receiver to have at the number 1. 64 receptions last year, 1,017 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns, average 16 yards a catch. He was complaining early on last year about not getting the football. Coach Callahan did his best to give him the football, the same with Mason Rudolph, and the same with Will Levis. But only 64 receptions for a player that you're paying a lot of money to, you need to give him at least 75 receptions in a year. Feed him. Get him going. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to go out there. They may double team Calvin Ridley. That's fine. Still find a way to scheme him open and get him the football as much as possible. Because outside of Calvin Ridley is a huge question mark at this wide receiving position. You look at Treylon Burks. He's been a bust so far. I'm sorry. And I'm a huge Treylon Burks fan coming out of Arkansas. Now, I always hate the fact that they traded A.J. Brown. They should have never done that. It's one of the worst trades in this franchise history. It may be the worst trade in franchise history. The best season for Treylon Burks so far, and he's entering year 4, was his rookie season, where he had 33 receptions for 444 receiving yards, and he had 1 receiving touchdown. We're talking about a player that was selected in the 1st round. He was supposed to come in and be the A.J. Brown replacement. He's only had 1 receiving touchdown in 3 seasons in football. When he's on the field, he's not consistent against the press. He drops a lot of passes. He looks slow. It's hard for him to get going against elite level talent. And he was able to dominate at Arkansas because the body type, the physicality. Is also another side of the story. He can't stay healthy. Turf toe injury, concussion injury against the Steelers a few years back in year 2. This previous year, he was dealing with injuries as well. So we're looking at a wide receiver. Right now, he's the weakest wide receiver on Tennessee. And you spent a 1st round pick on this man. That's why that general manager got fired. This was a terrible selection with the 1st round pick. And maybe he can go out there. He can find his way because he hasn't played with elite level quarterbacks. He got to play with Will Levis, Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill. That's not elite level play. But at the same time, when you are selected in the 1st round as a wide receiver, can you give your team some consistency on the field? He hasn't done that, and he hasn't been able to be available either. I can easily see him being the number 4 to number 5 wide receiver when the depth chart officially comes out. And the reason why I say that, once again, this general manager, he didn't select him. And the same with Coach Callahan. They don't have that allegiance to him to just go out there and give him those snaps and give him those opportunities over and over again. Because outside of Calvin Ridley, you do have some young wide receivers that you did select this year in the NFL draft. You have Chime DK. And I think that DK is going to be a very good player coming over from Florida. He got to play with Cam Ward. 783 receiving yards this last year, 3 receiving touchdowns. He's a slot wide receiver. He's a huge deep threat. They already have that chemistry together. I wouldn't be surprised by week 1 and week 2 that this is going to be his favorite target because there's already familiarity there with both of these players. And they're already so close together on and off the field. And I love when teams do this. They go out there and they draft the wide receiver to pair up with the quarterback to make them comfortable. So hopefully that can be a very good situation moving forward with Calvin Ridley. You also selected Alec Manor, another big wide receiver out of Stanford. Now, he's an outside wide receiver. This is the same player that has the highlight catch over Travis Hunter. He's a big body wide receiver, 831 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. I wonder how he's going to look against press man coverage, against some of these top end cornerbacks. But once again, he may not even face those top end cornerbacks every single week because Calvin Ridley, he's going to take that assignment every single week. He's a proven commodity right now at the receiving position. So you have a lot of young talent behind Calvin, but I like the upside with these wide receivers. Give them time to develop as well. This is still a young football team. That's why I like them going out there and signing Tyler Lockett. Now, do I expect for Tyler Lockett to step in and for him to be this game-changing wide receiver that he was 4 to 5 years ago with Seattle? I don't. But he's a veteran presence to have. And I know it's a running joke at this point that a bunch of wide receivers that come over to the Tennessee Titans, they look completely washed up. They're not the same. No one is expecting for Tyler Lockett to come in and to be this game-changing wide receiver. He only had 600 receiving yards last year and 2 receiving touchdowns. The last 3 years, his numbers have declined every single year, and this may be his last year in the NFL. But if it is, hey, you get a veteran presence that knows different looks. He knows the soft spots of defenses he can help Cam Ward develop. And I also look at it from this standpoint. Inside that wide receiving room, we have so much young talent. He can be that voice with Calvin Ridley to help push these guys forward. So it's a great locker room signing, and it's just a very good signing to have on the field, just to be a consistent target that can get open. But I don't expect for him to go out there, and I don't expect for him to have even 600 receiving yards next year. Be that mentor on your way out of the NFL. And if he can go out there, he can turn the clock back. Hey, go out there and do it. Van Jefferson, I don't expect much at all. Van Jefferson is not this wide receiver that I look at as going to be this game-changing guy. I have more faith in Tyler Lockett being that game-changing wide receiver than Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson so far has been hot and cold with teams in the past, with the Steelers, the same with the Rams. He's not going to go out there and be this number 2, number 3 wide receiver. As a number 4 to number 5 guy, that's fine. He fills out a roster spot. But consistently being a target every single week, I don't see it happening at all. But Chime DK, Alec Manor, those are the players that you want to have to step up behind Calvin Ridley. And it may take some time. That's why, once again, you have Tyler Lockett right there filling in that gap between those young players. But they're going to need those young players to step up as soon as possible. At the tight end position, you have Chig Okonkwo. I like him a lot. Chig Okonkwo is a very good tight end. He had 479 receiving yards last year, 2 receiving touchdowns. We've seen him have better numbers in the past with other quarterbacks. Once again, this was an entire offense that just wasn't good last season because of the quarterback and the turnovers he had and how bad the offensive line was for the first half of the season. But you give him this opportunity to go down there and be a deep threat. He can give you some good plays. Look at what happened against the Houston Texans last year. They defeated the Houston Texans. That's how good the defense was. That's how explosive their weapons were at the time. But this is one of those situations to where I say, hey, give Coach Callahan time. Now, if the Tennessee Titans look completely terrible and they can only win 3 to 5 games, you may have a conversation to fire him after just 2 years. But you need to have stability there at the head coaching spot, and the same in your front office, and the same at the quarterback position. So even though they may not go out there and have 10 wins, and it's a chance they can only win 5 games for this upcoming year, and if that does happen, you're going to have a lot of questions here. You may want to fire Coach Callahan, but it depends on how he coaches for this season. If he's coaching very well, he's scheming open wide receivers like how he did last year, keep him around. Give him another year and let this thing play itself out. That's the one thing that has worked against the Tennessee Titans, is how impatient the ownership has been. And these drastic decisions and these jarring decisions over and over again. Just be patient. Let it work itself out. And I look at the defense here. I have a lot of questions about their defense. Primarily the pass rushing position. You no longer have Harold Landry. Now, Harold Landry did have 9 sacks last year. It's a debate. Was he just a cleanup sack guy? When I look at Harold Landry, he did have 9 sacks. He was able to go back there and put consistent pressure on the quarterback every single week. Is he this top end pass rusher like TJ Watt, like Myles Garrett, like Max Crosby or Micah Parsons? No, but he gave you something. Now, it's not to say that the Tennessee Titans don't have talent at the edge rushing position. You do have Arden Key. Arden Key has been a solid player with the Tennessee Titans now the last 2 seasons. You look at him in his first year with Tennessee, 6 sacks. Last season, 6.5. But he's not that franchise game changer that you're looking for. He's solid. But I look at someone like Oladejo, who you selected in the 2nd round. You're hoping that he can come in and he can be that superstar edge rusher immediately. Now, he was a very good run stopper at UCLA. Had 4.5 sacks, 57 solo tackles. He's a raw pass rusher, but the upside is there. As the season progressed, the pressure rate got higher. And usually with players, even in the NFL, when that pressure rate is high, eventually you'll be able to get to the quarterback. And it's not always about sacks. As long as you can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback and make him uncomfortable, he should be able to go out there and have a lot of moments to where he can test out your secondary and set your secondary up to make some big time plays. We've seen this in the past with the Bears, with the Philadelphia Eagles just from this previous year, to where the sack numbers may not be that high, but the pressure rate is. But that's what you're looking for right now with Tennessee. They're going to miss Harold Landry, or maybe I'm just overrating him. You guys let me know in the comment section below. But I do believe that they're going to miss him early on, and they're going to get better as the season progresses with these young pass rushers. But Oladejo, he has a lot of upside. Look at Arden Key. I think that he will be a solid pass rusher that you can depend on. Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons, those are 2 very good interior defensive linemen. Now, this may be the key here. You have 2 strong defensive linemen that can get to the quarterback on a consistent basis in terms of pressure, and they can stop the run. They can eat up those double teams. One of those guys have to go out there and stop the quarterback from stepping up inside the pocket, because once again, you have CJ in this division, the best quarterback right now. You have Trevor Lawrence. He's been hot and cold in his career. You look at Anthony Richardson, you look at Daniel Jones. You make any quarterback uncomfortable inside the pocket, especially quarterbacks in this division. They can give you a lot of questionable moments in the football game. We saw this with CJ last year. Even though CJ is still one of the best quarterbacks in football, Tennessee, they beat the Texans because of consistent pressure on CJ over and over again, and their defense beat them up at the line of scrimmage. But it starts with this defensive pass rush, and it starts that defensive pressure. When I look at the secondary that they have, had a very good outing last year statistically. Roger McCreary inside the nickel position, he's a very good football player. I look at L'Jarius Sneed entering year 2 with Tennessee. Year 1, wasn't a good player. Know that he was dealing with injuries, but you expect more out of him. You're looking for him to be that number 1 cornerback. There's no excuses here. He needs to be the best player in this secondary next to Amani Hooker. There's a reason why you traded a 2nd round pick to bring this man in. He's a Super Bowl champion. And it seemed like he just took an entire year off with Tennessee. That can't be the case here. He did have a couple of good moments, but where you're paying him and what you gave up for him, you want him to be the cornerback that you put on key talent like Brian Thomas Jr. with Jacksonville, like Michael Pittman Jr. with the Indianapolis Colts, like Nico Collins with the Houston Texans. This may be seen as one of the weaker divisions in the AFC, but they have perimeter talent on the outside, and you need to have a strong secondary in this division. And you have that with some of these young players like Jarvis Brownlee. He's growing. He's developing. He's 24 years old. Roger, he's a young player. But L'Jarius Sneed, you expect for him to be that veteran in that cornerback room and help all these guys fully step up. The safety position, Amani Hooker, he was the best safety last season by far. 47 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 5 interceptions, 9 pass deflections. Very good productive safety. That gets swept underneath the rug, just like Tony Pollard and his stats, because it's the worst team in football last year, but he's a very good safety. You did bring over Xavier Woods. I'm going to say this. Xavier Woods should not be the starting safety for the entire season. You drafted Kevin Winston Jr. with the 82nd pick from Penn State. He's this big hitting safety coming downhill in box, can guard running backs from sideline to sideline. He's basically a mini linebacker that can cover tight ends very effectively. Had a very good season last year at Penn State. So I'm expecting for him to be that starter long term with Tennessee. But you can run a 3 safety look. The Los Angeles Chargers, they do it all the time now with their defensive coordinator and Jesse Minter. There's no reason why the Tennessee Titans can't tap into doing that. They have the personnel to do so. And I look at someone like Kevin Winston Jr. You can blitz him off the edge. He's basically a mini Jamal Adams when he was in his prime with the New York Jets. I say all this to say this about the Tennessee Titans. It needs to be major improvement here. You can't just go out there and win 3 to 5 games for this upcoming season. 7 to 9 wins should be the goal here, and you should be trending into the right direction, especially with a quarterback that you selected in the first round. But patience is going to be the biggest thing here for the Tennessee Titans ownership and also for the fan base. But I open this up to you guys here. Do you guys believe that Cam Ward can be a franchise quarterback with Tennessee? And can they be one of those teams that we look at for this upcoming season to where they could possibly go from worst to first? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.